All right, tech heads, let's kick things off with the biggest surprise of 2024, DeepSeek. This Chinese AI company exploded onto the scene, absolutely demolishing expectations. Their models, notably V3 and R1, are delivering performance comparable to the top-tier US models in a fraction of the cost. What did they do? Imagine building a skyscraper compared with just drawing blueprints. DeepSeek's breakthroughs have been in achieving greater efficiency, getting great results with fewer resources. They've mastered this idea of sparsity, only training the parts of the model that are essential for any given task. This alone meant they needed way less computing power. And they found clever ways of compressing and accessing information that is radically faster than what other companies are capable of doing. To make it even more mind-blowing, they made the whole thing open source. This isn't the usual Silicon Valley approach. It's a game changer. Think about it. Massive performance improvements for almost nothing. This is why the NVIDIA's stock price plunged, dropping $600 billion in the span of a week. It shook the foundations of the tech investment world, making everyone question their existing assumptions about AI development. Who were we thinking would dominate AI? The established, hyper-funded big tech players? DeepSeek CEO was being asked, only in Chinese, about his decision to go open source. We've seen other economies for years only focus on application monetization, but we believe in doing it differently, he said. With the success of these new models, DeepSeek's success looks obvious. Open source, cheaper, better. What if the whole AI landscape adopts their approach? This single company might have irrevocably changed the direction of AI. Next up, the long-promised land of on-device AI. Remember all that hype about AI-powered gadgets? Humane AI Pin, the Rabbit R1. They all came out swinging, and they all promptly missed. Why? Think about it. What's the killer AI app that's only possible with a new device? We still don't have it. The most valuable use cases for AI currently are things like generating text, summarizing documents, transcribing audio, and translating languages. And all of that can already be done on your phone, which makes sense, since this hardware already has the processing power to handle it. The gadgets released in early 2024 weren't really doing anything new, and frankly, many of them didn't even work as advertised. The Humane AI Pin overheated, didn't always recognize objects correctly, and then later had its charging pack recalled. The Rabbit R1 had this large action model that we had to find out was just an Android app. It felt like the whole industry was trying to milk the AI craze by pumping out products that were nowhere near ready. There's a good reason why some of the companies pushing on-device AI eventually rolled out the Agentic AI concept. This is what they call LLMs that live in the cloud and dive into your data to accomplish tasks for you. They're hoping this is the breakthrough, but I wouldn't hold your breath yet. Remember the ethical and privacy implications here? These agentic AI services need deep access to your emails, calendars, and more. How will the big tech companies ensure you're safe, and what implications will they have on the future of online privacy? Can we trust them to not use our information even if they promise not to? So, 2024 was a major bust for on-device AI. And while agentic AI is poised to dominate, there are still big questions left unanswered. Let's talk about the heavy hitters, Google Gemini and Microsoft Copilot. Both are aiming to become the ultimate AI chatbots, competing head-to-head with OpenAI's ChatGPT. How did they fare? Google Gemini is a beast, excelling at creative writing and even providing access to Google Search. Copilot really integrated well with the Microsoft 365 suite. But the testing we did showed that both still have their limitations. Both sometimes missed contextual cues or gave responses that contained incorrect information. We ran side-by-side comparisons. Both even struggled with the simple question, why did Hillary Clinton oppose the TPP? They both had a very easy task of providing the right answer but didn't. Remember, AI chatbots are often generating responses based on probability, not accuracy. This is why you always need to fact-check before sharing or using their outputs. Yet, both platforms also were incredibly helpful for generating ideas, summarizing documents, quickly writing emails, and a host of other everyday tasks. Microsoft's approach with Copilot and its refreshing AI companion UI showed their interest in focusing on a broader use case, rather than strictly acting as another research platform, which is a huge leap. Both still need some work on their interfaces, but the integration points should be worth investigating for your own workflow. And both offer free and paid services, but only the paid versions of each give access to more powerful models that can perform far more sophisticated tasks such as generating computer code, creating AI images, or performing real-time web searches. The AI image generation world also saw its own set of both wins and fails. Tools like Midjourney and DALL-E 3 continued to dominate and put up exceptionally creative outputs, whereas Google Gemini showed its significant limitations with race. The tool was caught creating images showing people of color at the time of World War II dressed in Nazi uniforms. That resulted in a brief pause and suspension of image processing in the platform. Meanwhile, other image generation tools were getting called out for similar issues with race and the ability for them to generate convincing fakes. There were other AI photo generation tools launched, but none stood out as game changers. As for video generation, Adobe Express improved significantly, whereas DeepSeek launched a tool to translate videos into 30 different languages, including Arabic, Mandarin, Japanese, and French. While AI translation and text-to-image are well established, the combination of voice cloning and AI-adjusted lip movements in DeepSeek's video translator tool is an excellent use case. While this technology is going to continue improving, this is an incredibly exciting and useful tool. It's going to increase the way we all communicate and increase access to diverse languages around the world. The continued push to improve AI image generation is both inspiring but also concerning. The ethical implications are not straightforward. We still don't have robust mechanisms for labeling images that have been generated, manipulated, or modified by an AI that can't be easily removed, and the ease with which AI tools can create photorealistic images of real people doing things they didn't do, or never could do, represents a considerable challenge to trust in the information environment. Political campaigns, for example, are already using tools that can generate images of people, whether it's to create more social media posts or modify existing imagery and disseminate across social media platforms. What happens to our trustworthiness in each other when we are unable to tell whether or not something we see is even possible? The risk of AI tools being misused for the purpose of political misinformation will continue growing as AI gets better and more pervasive. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the ethics of AI. It's not just about stopping the next big cyber attack, it's about much more. We're talking about bias, misinformation, job displacement, accountability, and the potential for these technologies to be misused. There were lawsuits against AI companies for stealing various artists' works. There will be more. This year, we saw AI being used to generate fake images of political figures, including even convincing ones of Trump firing a rifle from the back of a pickup truck. Elon Musk's Grok chatbot was at the heart of many of these events and had to hastily add some guardrails to stop more of the same. And there were various calls to add more regulations in the US and EU, amid the awareness that generative AI has the power to wreak havoc with the truth. There were various studies showing the need for more regulation and the risk of relying so heavily on single vendors, highlighted by the CrowdStrike outage. What happens if technology companies are left alone to govern this new technology? Does that make sense, or do we need some oversight? Who is going to take responsibility when things go wrong, as they inevitably will? And how do we balance innovation with the need to maintain trust in digital information? There's no easy answer, and it's a conversation that will continue for several years. These are the conversations that have to be had between policymakers, companies, and everyone else affected by AI. AI is impacting everything, and the long-term implications are still largely uncertain. So, what's next? 2024 wasn't the AI promised land, but it was big. Next year will be even bigger, especially around Agentic AI, those LLMs that act on our behalf. Anthropic gave us a taste of what's coming, and the promise is to offload our tedious, everyday tasks. That's the appeal here. An AI assistant to organize your emails, schedule meetings, and automate those never-ending to-dos. But there are many questions to answer yet. How will Agentic AI systems address privacy? What happens when the AI makes a mistake? Will there be safeguards? And will these systems work as seamlessly as their developers expect? Right now, we don't know. But we've seen demos, and they're impressive. What's that old Steve Jobs saying about putting a dent in the universe? I'm confident our world is going to change in ways we can only presently imagine. AI will continue evolving, new models will appear, companies will continue battling, and policymakers will have the tough task of trying to set up the legal regimes to govern this technology. It's going to be an interesting few years, especially with the growth and spread of the technology, which will be increasingly part of our work and daily lives. Even the most optimistic scenarios in our future will likely not completely align with reality. Big tech will definitely try to force their agents onto our lives without listening to our misgivings. But if this new technology does what it promises, we will all have to adapt. Perhaps with Agentic AI, we will really break AI into the mainstream and for all of us to use. And for the first time, people will not wonder, where's the big AI breakthrough happening?